They say revenge is best served cold, but mine was chilled in a crystal wine glass. My sister handed me that glass with a smile, expensive lipstick, manicured nails, and poison behind her eyes. I smiled back, then waited until no one was looking. I didn't drink it. Her husband did. He collapsed before dessert. And she looked straight at me, and for the first time in her life, she was scared of me. It wasn't just the wine she should have worried about. It was everything I'd been swallowing for the last 20 years. You ever meet someone who wears cruelty like perfume? Subtle enough to leave doubt, strong enough to linger when they're gone. That's my sister, Celine Vale. To the world, she's beautiful, successful, married to a man with too much money and not enough spine. Her Instagram is a mosaic of curated smiles, hand-stitched dresses, and Sunday brunches under string lights. But I know the truth hiding under all that perfect lighting. I've lived it. And tonight I was expected to pretend again. Before we dive in, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below letting us know where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. We're excited to connect with all of you, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing content. Now back to the story. The Vale family home shimmered with fairy lights and soft jazz. It was our parents' 35th anniversary. An outdoor dinner party in Celine's massive backyard. She offered to host, of course. Our parents gushed about it endlessly. The garden, the seating, the catering. No one mentioned the way Celine weaponized generosity. How every kind act was a loaded gun with a smile for a silencer. I showed up in a simple navy dress I'd worn to 2 weddings before. I wore my hair up, clean and uncomplicated. My mother looked me up and down and said, "Well, at least you're here." Translation: I wasn't Celine. "Look who finally decided to show," Celine crooned when I approached the patio. She swept toward me like a breeze that chilled. "Ariana, I thought you'd ghost us again." I gave her a tight smile. "Wouldn't miss Mom and Dad's big night." She looped her arm through mine and leaned in. "Good girl," she whispered. "Try not to be so boring this time." There it was. The first cut of the night. Let me be clear. I wasn't jealous of Celine. I was tired of her. Tired of being the shadow in every room she stood in. Tired of her backhanded compliments. Tired of playing the quiet sister while she lit up every space, then burned it down when no one was watching. I took a seat at one of the long tables by the garden fountain, close enough to the center to be seen but far enough not to matter. My parents were already glowing under the attention of Celine's friends and neighbors, all of whom she'd personally invited. Our father gave a toast. Our mother dabbed her eyes. The clinking of glasses followed. I watched Celine's husband, Derek, from across the table. Clean-cut, dull-eyed, always on his phone. He used to be charming, before Celine wore him down to a well-dressed mannequin. "Still single, Ariana?" a guest asked politely, wine swirling in their glass. "Still happily working for yourself?" Celine added before I could answer. "Must be so nice not having a boss breathing down your neck." I swallowed my reply. My freelance design business paid the bills just fine, but I knew better than to defend myself. Celine didn't care about answers. She cared about performance. I excused myself halfway through dinner and slipped into the house for some quiet. The kitchen was empty, dimly lit with only the under-cabinet lights humming. I leaned on the counter, breathing deep. 10 more minutes. I could do 10 more minutes. The sound of heels on tile broke the silence. "Celine." She walked in holding 2 glasses of wine, both deep red. "There you are," she said, all warm and friendly. "You looked a little pale out there. Thought you might need a drink." She handed me a glass. I took it but didn't drink. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. I watched her over the rim. "Thanks," I said cautiously. "Don't mention it," she chirped. "Honestly, I was starting to think you were going to sneak out early again. You always used to hide at parties. Remember senior prom?" I did. She told my date I had a stomach bug so she could go with him instead. Celine leaned in a little closer. "Try to have some fun, Ariana. For once." She turned and walked out, wine glass in hand. I didn't follow right away. Instead, I looked at my glass. Something was off. Call it intuition. Call it years of living with her. But the moment she handed me that drink, my gut screamed. I set the glass down and quietly followed her into the hallway that connected the kitchen to the patio. She was mid-sip, laughing at something Derek said. My heart pounded in my chest as I stepped toward the table and made the switch. Took 2 seconds. Her glass for mine. No one noticed. Or if they did, they didn't care. We returned to the table. Celine raised her glass to toast my parents again. So did Derek. He took a generous sip. I didn't drink at all. And then I waited. Started with him blinking. Low. Like someone had dimmed the lights inside his skull. Then came the sweating. The confusion. The clumsiness. He tried to stand. His chair scraped loud against the patio tile. Then he stumbled. Hard. Hit the edge of the table and collapsed into the grass like a puppet whose strings had been cut. Screams. Panic. Celine rushed to his side. Derek. Baby. He groaned, but his words didn't make sense. Something about spinning. Then vomiting. Someone called an ambulance. My mother fluttered like a frightened bird. My father barked orders. And me. I just sat there watching Celine's face. She looked up once, right at me. Her lips parted in shock. Her eyes full of horror. 'Cause she knew. She knew. The party ended in chaos. Paramedics arrived and wheeled Derek away. Celine rode with him, shaking and pale. I left quietly, slipping past the guests who remained. No one stopped me. They were too busy buzzing with confusion and concern. When I got home, I sat on the couch in the dark, phone in hand, heart pounding. Had I done the right thing? What if he died? But the deeper question, the one buried beneath all that worry, was colder. What exactly had she meant for me? 2 days later, Derek was stable. They said it was something in his system. Maybe a bad reaction, maybe spiked alcohol. But the toxicology report hadn't come back yet. Celine called me that morning. I didn't pick up. She tried again that night. Left a voicemail. Hey. I think we need to talk. I don't know what happened the other night, but can we meet? Just us. Please. I listened to it twice. She didn't sound angry. She sounded terrified. I saved the message and turned off my phone. Because now I knew the truth. She tried to drug me. Humiliate me. Maybe worse. But fate, and her own poisoned gift, had flipped the script. And I was just getting started. I didn't sleep the night after her voicemail. I lay in bed with the covers up to my chest, staring at the ceiling, wide awake and electric with rage. The kind that buzzes under your skin and vibrates in your teeth. The kind that doesn't let you rest because you're replaying every slight, every insult, every shove into silence. I kept hearing her voice in my head. Can we talk? Just us. Please. No apology. No confession. Just fear. Like I might ruin her perfect little life if I spoke up. That voicemail was a soft knock on a door she didn't realize she had already kicked off its hinges. She hadn't called to check on me, not even to ask if I was okay after what she did. She didn't care what that night could have done to me, only what it might now do to her. By the next morning, the family group chat was a war zone of passive-aggressive updates. Dad. Heard back from the doctors yet? Mom. I still think it was something in the wine. Should have gone with Italian catering. Celine. Doctors say he'll recover. Still no idea what caused it. Might have been stress. Or dehydration. Or his blood sugar. No mention of the 2 identical wine glasses. No mention of her handing one to me. She was already rewriting the story. Already laying the groundwork for some clean, vague version of events that absolved her. I didn't reply. Instead, I started digging. I remembered something Celine had once said years ago, during a fight that had ended with her slamming my bedroom door. No one ever believes you. You're too quiet to be trusted. That line had haunted me for years. She knew how to make me doubt myself. How to twist the silence I clung to like armor and turn it into suspicion. Not this time. I went back to her house the next day. She wasn't there, at the hospital probably, but I knew the code to the side gate. She hadn't changed it in over a year. I walked around the back and into the guest house. The one she never used, but kept perfectly decorated in case she needed to impress someone. That's where I found the hallway camera. It was mounted discreetly in the corner, black and angular, almost hidden beneath a hanging orchid. I stared at it for a full minute. Then I traced the wire down the wall to the recording unit tucked in a storage cabinet. And there it was. Footage, timestamps, backup files. I copied everything onto a portable drive I'd brought just in case. My hands were shaking the entire time, sweat beading down my spine. Every second I spent in that house felt like borrowed time. When I got back to my apartment, I pulled up the footage on my laptop. There I was, standing in the kitchen alone. Then Celine entered, wine in both hands. She handed one to me. Took it. 30 seconds later, I switched glasses in the hallway. There it was. Evidence. Silent. Black and white. Irrefutable. I watched the scene over and over, not because I doubted myself, but because I wanted to memorize her face. That soft, lying smile. The little glance she gave the wine before she passed it to me. The faintest twitch of nerves in her jaw. I wanted to burn it into my brain. The moment she crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. And I wasn't done. I reached out to Michelle, an old high school friend who'd drifted into Celine's orbit after college. She and I used to be close, until Celine pulled her in like she always did. I didn't expect Michelle to answer my text, but she did. She met me at a small cafe on the edge of downtown, the kind of place you go when you don't want to be seen. When I arrived, she was already seated, nervously stirring a drink that looked mostly like foam. "You okay?" she asked before I could even sit down. "That depends," I said, pulling the flash drive from my coat pocket and placing it on the table. "Do you remember anything weird about the party?" Michelle looked at the drive, then back at me. "Why? What's on that?" "Footage," I said, "of Celine handing me that glass. Before her husband collapsed." Her lips parted slightly, but no sound came out. I leaned forward. "Michelle, did she say anything to you? Before the party?" A long silence. Then, finally, "She said she wanted to mess with you a little. Said she got something that would make you loosen up. She joked it was like liquid courage." I didn't think she was serious. I thought it was just some stupid prank. "Did she say what it was?" "No," Michelle said quietly. "She didn't tell me that." He nodded. "Would you say that to a camera?" "What?" "A statement. Not police. Not public. Just, your words recorded. For protection." Michelle hesitated. But then she nodded. "I'll do it," she said. I didn't know it would go that far. Neither did I. But that was the thing about Celine, she always took it too far. Her entire life had been a series of near misses, carefully managed disasters where someone else took the fall. She was too polished, too smart, too practiced in the art of being the victim. She didn't expect me to turn into the villain of her story. I wasn't going to the police. Not yet. I wanted more than charges. I wanted a reckoning. That night she showed up at my door. I heard her heels before I saw her. Slow, deliberate, like she wanted me to know she was coming. I opened the door and stepped aside without saying anything. She came in, wearing sunglasses at 9 p.m. and a coat too heavy for spring. Her hair was messy. Her makeup smudged. "You switched the glasses," she said, not even waiting for a greeting. "You knew." "I did." Her jaw clenched. "You could have killed him." "I didn't put anything in that glass, Celine." "You did." She said nothing. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself water, and leaned against the counter. She stood in the living room like she didn't know where to sit, like she was afraid of leaving fingerprints. "I don't know what you think you saw." "I saw enough," I said, cutting her off. "And I've got backup. Footage. A statement. Text. Don't lie to me. Not now." Her voice dropped into a whisper. "What do you want?" There it was. The real question. I didn't answer right away. I wanted her to squirm. To feel what I had felt for years. Powerless, cornered, unsure. "What did you put in the drink?" I asked finally. She swallowed hard. "It wasn't dangerous. It was just something to make you loosen up. I was trying to help you. You're always so uptight. You were going to humiliate me. Record me slurring and stumbling and upload it somewhere. I know how you work, Celine." Her face twisted. "You think you're some kind of martyr. You think this makes you better than me. You've always been jealous of me." I laughed. Actually laughed. It was bitter and raw and ugly. "No," I said. "I stopped being jealous the day I realized the only thing you ever built was a lie. And now it's falling apart." She took a step forward. "If you release that footage." I raised my hand. "I haven't. But don't push me." We stared at each other. Two sisters, one storm. "Why, Celine?" I asked, voice quieter now. "Why hate me so much?" Her expression cracked for just a moment. And beneath all that fury, there was something else. Fear. "I don't hate you," she said. I couldn't let you take the spotlight. Not again." "What spotlight?" "The one they always gave you without even realizing it. The poor, quiet Ariana act. The one who never fought back. You always made me look like the monster. You did that yourself." She turned and stormed out. But I knew in that moment I had won the first battle. Because Celine was afraid. And fear, in someone like her, is the first sign of collapse. I wasn't done. I was just getting started. After she left my apartment, the air stayed heavy. I stood there, still holding the glass of water I never drank, as if her shadow lingered. I waited to feel relief. Or triumph. Something. But all I felt was that low, simmering ache again. The one I'd lived with since childhood. The one she always managed to stir like coals beneath skin. I didn't cry. Not for her. Not anymore. Instead, I plugged in the flash drive, opened the folder with the footage, and played the hallway clip again. The part where she handed me the glass. The micro-expression on her face. That tiny glint of satisfaction. Then the moment I switched them. I watched it in slow motion. Frame by frame. A sister's betrayal preserved forever in grayscale. Then I opened the video of Michelle's statement. It was short. Barely 3 minutes. But she was clear. Nervous but steady. She said Celine joked about slipping something into my drink. Said she didn't take it seriously until Derek ended up in the ER. I added a timestamp. Title. And I uploaded it. Not to the public. Not yet. But to a cloud account. Password protected. Tied to an email Celine didn't know existed. I named the folder, Insurance. I sent her a link with read-only access. A single line in the body of the email. "Next time you try to bury me, dig 2 graves." I didn't get a reply. But I knew she saw it. She was always too curious not to look. The next morning I got a call from my mother. Her voice was thick with disapproval. "What are you doing, Ariana?" My heart sank. Of course she knew. Of course Celine had gone running to her. "Morning to you too, Mom. Don't be smug. Celine said you're threatening her. That you're spreading lies." Closed my eyes. "Did she tell you about the wine?" "She said it was a misunderstanding. She drugged a drink, gave it to me, and her husband ended up in the hospital. She says she didn't mean to hurt anyone. That it was a prank gone wrong." I laughed into the phone. "If it had been me lying in the hospital bed, would you still call it a prank?" Silence. Then she changed tactics. "She's your sister. That's not an excuse. She's upset. You've humiliated her. She's in pieces." I smiled bitterly. "Good." She gasped like I'd said something sacrilegious. "Ariana, how can you be so cruel? How can you be so blind?" We argued for 10 more minutes, if you could call it that. Really, it was her defending Celine in that polite, layered way she always had. Like explaining away a stain on the carpet. And I realized then I was done seeking understanding from people who had never once tried to understand me. "Goodbye, Mom," I said, and hung up before she could scold me again. I didn't answer when she called back. 2 days passed. I stayed quiet. Let the tension sit and rot like spoiled fruit. Then came the breaking point. A knock on my apartment door. Not frantic. Not desperate. Just sharp, timed, like someone trying to remain composed. Opened it. Celine stood there, sunglasses again, hair tied back tight like a mask. She stepped inside without asking. I didn't offer her anything. I need you to delete the video. She didn't ask. She demanded. Why? Her jaw twitched. Because I'm pregnant. Blinked. That was not what I expected. She sat on my couch like she owned it, arms crossed. I found out yesterday. I haven't told Derek. I haven't told anyone else. I was going to, but now I can't, because you're waving this over my head like a guillotine. I stared at her. Is that true? Or are you just trying to pull the one card you think I won't cut? I'm not lying. You lie every time you breathe. I have proof, she snapped. A test. A doctor's note. Want me to show you? I didn't answer. You hate me, fine. But don't do this to my child. Don't make them grow up in the shadow of your revenge. There it was. Her desperation wrapped in a martyr's cloak. I sat across from her and looked her in the eyes. You tried to drug me, Celine. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. You've always meant to hurt me. She flinched. Just slightly. I stood up. You came here because you're afraid. Not for your kid. Not for Derek. You're afraid you won't get to keep playing the perfect little princess. She stood too, trying to keep her composure. I came here to make peace. No, you came here to control the story again. But I own it now. Her eyes glittered with unshed tears. Or maybe fury. Or both. You think you've won. I think I survived. Beep. Then I pulled a manila envelope from my desk drawer and handed it to her. Inside was a printed copy of Michelle's statement, a copy of the footage stills, and a letter addressed to Derek. You want peace. Yes. You tell him the truth before I do. Her breath caught. And if I don't, I release it. All of it. Publicly. You'll destroy my life. No, I said softly. You already did that. I'm just making sure you can't do it again. She opened the envelope with trembling hands. Read the first page. Then she looked up at me with something new in her eyes. Recognition. The moment she finally saw me not as her shadow, but her equal and her reckoning. She left without another word. And I sat down in the quiet, feeling the kind of peace that doesn't come from forgiveness, but from finally being heard. Later that week, Derek moved out. Celine posted a cryptic story about taking space for self-growth. There were no photos of them together after that. No updates on the baby. No denial. No threats. Just silence. And for once, she was the one hiding. I didn't need to expose her to the world. I just needed her to know she wasn't untouchable. She did. The next time we saw each other was 6 months later. Our cousin's wedding. She wore black like she was in mourning. Maybe she was. For her image. For the control she no longer had. She avoided me the entire night. Until the reception. She found me near the edge of the venue, a glass of water in my hand, standing alone. She approached quietly. I told him everything, she said, barely above a whisper. He left me 2 days later. I know. She looked at the sky. Then back at me. I deserve what happened. You do. She nodded once. And then, without apology, without begging, she walked away. No drama. No tantrum. Just the soft retreat of someone who finally learned fear the hard way. I watched her go, then turned back to the party. Someone handed me champagne. I didn't flinch. But I didn't drink it either. Not yet. I'd learned to be careful. Not paranoid. Just aware. Because monsters don't always come with claws. Sometimes they wear your blood, your name, your childhood. Sometimes they come with matching DNA and shared bedrooms. Sometimes they smile while slipping poison into your glass. And sometimes, you smile right back. Because this time you've already switched it.